Welcome everyone to our joint meeting. My name is Terry Green, and I'm the Vice President of Programs for the Republican Women of Greater North Texas. We have two other individual clubs here tonight that have joined with us to put on this special presentation. And we have Maria Garcia, who's the President of the Hispanic Republican Club of North Texas. And Mr. John Myers, Collin County Republican Men's Club. And we also want to thank the Collin College for allowing us to have this event here in this beautiful auditorium. So let's give them a round of applause as well. And if you didn't know, we have some snacks and drinks in the back if you would like to get up and get some. But we're going to be moving through this agenda pretty quickly. And because we want to save as much time as possible for us to listen to our two outstanding speakers for tonight. So with that said, I'm going to ask Janet Hannum, who is the chaplain for our Republican Women of Greater North Texas, to come and lead us in the invocation, followed by our pledges of allegiance. Please stand.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity for our three clubs to meet together this evening. We pray for your continued guidance for their leaders and members alike, that each may grow and flourish the work of the Republican Party here in North Texas. We fear, Father, for the daily deepening crisis unfolding along our southern border and the thousands of illegal immigrants threatening national security, bringing disease, drugs, and crime into our country. We know, God, that with you all things are possible. We boldly pray for President Biden and his administration to humbly recognize the urgency to close the border to protect our United States of America. We thank you, Father, for our speakers tonight, Special Agent Victor Avilar and Sheriff Jim Skinner. Please bless and protect all the brave men and women who serve in the Texas border security and law enforcement. We pray that they may be given the resources they need to maintain the security and safety of our country and we, the people. You are a God of mercy and grace. Strengthen our resolve, Father, in all things, to remain focused upon you, to listen to your voice, that your will be done here in Texas as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Janet. It's always beautiful. Now we have Delar Height, who's going to lead us in the pledge to the American flag.
Please join me as we take a pledge to our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we have Lydia Ortega from the Hispanic Club, who's going to lead us in our pledge to the Texas flag.
This great state of Texas. Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now John Myers is going to come, please be seated. John Myers is going to come forth and give us some introductions.
Well, if you're excited to be here in McKinney, Texas, Collin County, the United States of America, give yourselves a round of applause. I have the great honor first to let you know that we're going to be recognizing our elected officials. We're going to have them stand in just a moment, and then after that we'll have the candidates stand. And we want you to know that these elected officials and the candidates are here this evening because they want to talk to you. They want to hear from you. They want to know what's important to you. And more importantly, we need to tell them what's important to us. So, I would first like to ask all of the current elected officials, if you're a public official at any level, please stand at this time and please be recognized. Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. The elected officials and the candidates will be here afterwards. They're going to be hanging out, wanting to talk to you, because after all, we all vote. Next, I'd like, if you are up for re-election or if you are a candidate of any kind at any level, at this time, please stand. Wonderful, wonderful. We do have some special guests that we would like to say hello and give a shout out to. Mr. Nathan Thondat, who is the founder of the Black Conservative Matters, is here this evening. Mr. and Mrs. Trenton White from Fort Worth are here this evening. Shannon Wood, who is a member of the Tarrant County Board of Trustees of our Tarrant County College, is here. And of course, Judy Adams from Denton County is here, precinct chair from Denton County. We want to recognize you and thank you for all you do for the conservative cause across these northern Collins County and across North Texas. Give them a round of applause, please. So as Terry appropriately let you know that there are 3 sponsoring organizations for this great meeting this evening to hear our wonderful keynote speaker. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Collin County Republican Men's Club, and we each have just a moment or two to tell you a little bit about the individual clubs, and I'm going to do that right now. So what is the Collin County Republican Men's Club? Or as we're called, our initials, the CCRMC. Well, we are among the oldest continuing Republican clubs in Collin County. We're an organization where men and women can join together, learn together, and work together for the benefit of our country, our state, and our nation through supporting the principles of the Republican Party. And we've been doing this in the Men's Club for over 51 years in Collin County. The Collin County Republican Men's Club supports the ongoing traditional conservative principles of the Republican Party. What are those? Well, they include individual freedom, limited government, limited taxation, the rule of law, supporting our military and making sure that we have a strong military which will guarantee us peace through strength. We support real fiscal responsibility. We support free markets and capitalism, and we absolutely oppose socialism of any kind. And finally, I will tell you that we support, the Men's Club supports human dignity because you see, all people are created equal in the eyes of God. If that sounds like an organization, the Men's Club sounds like an organization that you would like to be a part of, we welcome you to join. And I'd like to point out that tonight, anyone who joins will be given an autographed copy of the book, Agent Under Fire, that's autographed by tonight's keynote speaker. And, by the way, that book is rapidly rising up the Amazon bestseller list. So remember that when you're reading that book. It's great. One final thing I'll point out, and that is that even though we're called the Men's Club, we welcome and offer full membership rights to women as well. We also offer the option of associate memberships if that's of interest to you. Come to our CCRM table immediately following tonight's presentation and sign up. I promise you, you'll be happy you did. Thank you.
everybody. I'm Jenny Webb. I am the president of the Republican Women of Greater North Texas. Now, that's a hard act to follow right there. Okay, so what do I want to tell you about our club? We are a patriotic group of women. We are not women who come just to have a lunch and hang out and make friends, although that is part of it. We are women who work. We teach our members how to work with the candidates, how to block walk, how to be precinct chairs, how to, hold on just a second, get people registered to vote, work the polls, and most importantly, we've been extremely involved this year in calling our legislators, going down to Austin, working with our legislators, letting them know what is important to us, and we are on the phones dialing them constantly. And we have a great VP of legislation, Diana Biskin. Where are you? Stand up for just a second. There she is right there, and she's the reason we're doing all that, and we love her. Okay, so I do want to tell you that we have over 200 members in our club. We have associate members, but we have primary members too, over 200. We pride ourselves in being a fun and dynamic club. Another thing that we do is that we have Caring for America. It's one of our mission statement things that we do. We have 3 different projects, sometimes 4, that we do every year where we're helping different communities here in Texas. So we try to, give back to the community. Another thing we do is that we sponsor 3 scholarships every year for young Republican women coming out of high school that are going into college. Okay, so that's really important to us. So that's basically our 3 our mission statements: educating our members, the scholarships, and then doing the Caring for America projects. We would love for you to come learn more about us. We would love for you to join us. We meet on the 2nd Tuesday of every month at the Crest Infinity Car Dealership Event Center. It's at 121 and Legacy. And we would just love to have you come join us. We'll have a desk out here, a table, and if you want to come talk to us about joining, we can't sign you up tonight. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lydia Ortega, the treasurer of the Hispanic Republican Club of Greater North Texas, and I'm proud to have our president here. I think we are probably the youngest and freshest club. It's only been in operation for 4 years, co-founded for 2 years? 2.5, I tried to extend it. 2.5 years, we're really young. It was co-founded by the president, Maria Garcia. And this club has 3 principles. We educate our voters. In fact, often you'll find us block walking before there's a candidate, knocking on doors to let the recipients in Hispanic neighborhoods know that the Republican Party, the conservative values, are about right to work. And we contrast that on these push cards with the liberal values, union control. We honor strong families, where the liberal side would honor single parenthood. We're pro-life and against abortion, so we have a long list of values that we need to educate our Hispanic population on. We also engage them with fantastic speakers every month on the 3rd Monday of the month. We have actually one coming up. This is our general meeting, August 23rd. The doors open at 6:30 and the meeting starts at 7 o'clock with our Commissioner of Agriculture, Sid Miller. If you've never heard him speak, you've missed something. He has a lot to tell you about the Texas agricultural community and what that means for Texas. Our next event, again, sometimes we co-sponsor like we did like today, and that is going to be on the topic of religious freedom, that it makes America great. And really, this is a topic that's in challenge. This will be on Thursday, this week, August 12th, at the Studio Movie Grill. You'll find these little pamphlets out there on the table when you leave, and you can take one and attend. They are just a sample of the speakers we bring. We also bring trainers. Our members really enjoy learning about public speaking, and we want them to, because our final action is to empower them to become candidates, to get involved, to sit and run for elections and do the heavy lifting of working to make Collin County a better conservative place. So thank you for your time. I hope you're interested in joining us. We can send you lots of information about these exciting events. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. As you can see, we have some great clubs here in Collin County, so feel free. There's also the GOP has a table out there as well. Feel free to step out after the meeting and visit with anybody about any club that you may want to join or get some more information. Right now, it is my pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker, Victor Avilar. He is a retired special agent with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement as ICE, and his job was to enforce federal laws governing border control, customs, promote homeland security, public safety. He has served in El Paso in their field office there. He also was assigned to the U.S. Consulate's office in Juarez, and that is a very dangerous place, as you know. He's conducted international criminal investigations on narcotics, arms trafficking, human smuggling, counterterrorism, served in U.S. embassies over in Spain, Portugal, and Mexico. He's received numerous awards, too long to take up his whole hour of speaking here. He's been featured on Fox News, all the good channels, One American News, Newsmax, and on the radio. But most importantly, he is a survivor of a drug cartel ambush in which his partner was killed. You're going to hear about that tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's an author, as you heard earlier, of Agent Under Fire, A Murder, and a Manifesto, which is a must read, and he will have it out there on the table if you'd like to purchase it. Please help me welcome a real life survivor, Special Agent Victor Avilar.
Maybe you can hear me okay with the mic? Yes? It's an honor to be here with you tonight amongst some great patriots. It always feels good to be amongst you guys, and I have a lot to share. I'll start with sharing my story, and obviously we're going to talk a lot about the border. We're going to talk about the border, not how it was just 3 months ago, but how it is today. And I've been going down the border, and I will share a lot of videos and stories of what I've seen firsthand, but I'll share my story with you first.
Victor, stop it.
Victor, from ICE. We were shot. We are on the highway at Querétaro, Mexico. We've been shot and attacked on the highway. I am an ICE special agent.
What did you name, Victor?
Victor Avilar, police car, 30 miles. I don't know another thing.
So what did you
Please, call 30 miles. We've been shot on the highway.
Highway? What did you highway, sir? To where?
Mexico, Querétaro. They know what I meant.
Oh, okay. Try to remain alive, please.
That was February 15, 2011. A little over 10 years ago. Special Agent Jaime Zapata and I were ambushed by the Zetas cartel on Highway 57 on what I call a botched assignment. It was a horrific day, despite being a beautiful day, a gorgeous day, 72 degrees on February 15th. That's one of the perks of working in Mexico, was the weather. We got sent to Monterrey direction from Mexico City to meet our counterparts from the Monterrey office. This whole thing was to go pick up some equipment, some boxes. These boxes contained electronic surveillance equipment, tracking devices that were going to be used for this huge money laundering case that ICE, or the U.S. Customs Service, as you can recall, that's what we were before we became ICE, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. There's a big money laundering case that was out of Colombia. Mexico got in on it. We seized a bunch of money, like $40 million in cash in a container. And frankly, my supervisors were clouded, I think, by that. A lot of the questions that I have 10 years later have not been answered. Have not been answered by the Biden administration. I say Biden because he was there, or the Obama administration. And that could be a whole hour-and-a-half presentation of how that administration failed my family and I after being shot. So I questioned the assignment. The assignment came on February 14th on Valentine's Day. I had just arrived back in country from investigating another case. The office in Mexico City at that time was the busiest ICE office in the world. And I had just arrived, and my whole purpose of that week was to go in on Monday morning and do a lot of administrative work. I had to do a bunch of reports. Everything that an agent does has to write down. I think the sheriff knows this very well. If you didn't write it down, it didn't happen. And so that was my whole intention. I had a to-do list that I actually still have saved up in my attic that I wrote that morning. And it was a long one. But right about noontime, a coworker of mine gives me a heads up and says, hey, they're gonna send you to Monterey. And they sit my top. And I might have used some foul language I'm not gonna use it here tonight. And I said, wait a minute. There's other agents here. Why am I going? I just got here. I had been out almost 7 days. I hadn't seen my family. I got in at 1 in the morning and I'm back in the office at 9 in the morning. And I said, this can't be it. What's going on? And sure enough, after lunch in Mexico, after about 3 o'clock, my supervisor calls me in, gives me the assignment and says, I need you to call and coordinate with the ICE agents from the Monterey office. Now, Mexico City to Monterey is an 11-hour drive. And he says, you need to go pick up some equipment. So I naturally, as an agent, there's a lot of things that have to happen in Mexico. I've driven down that highway many times. I've escorted agents out of there. Every time I do that, we have other law enforcement agents escort us back up, Mexican federal police, the military. Why? Because Mexico is a dangerous country. And so we always have to do these operational plans, and we have to coordinate. But that was never afforded to me. They said, by the way, you're gonna take the TD wire. The TD wire we refer to as a temporary duty assignment agent, which was Special Agent Jaime Zapata, who had just arrived in the country a few days before. And so you're gonna take him so he can help you drive. I question it, I get on the phone with our agents from Monterey, and I say, what's going on? And of course they tell me, okay, this one here.
Yes.
Oh, that's better, huh? I have to screen on. Thank you. And so I talk to the assistant attaché in Monterey. I tell him, hey, what the heck's going on? He's like, you know what? There's been a lot of firefights between the Zetas, the military, and the federal police on Highway 57. We knew that they controlled that corridor. We knew that that was the intel. I mean, what do you think we do in Mexico, right? That's what we're doing. We share this information with the Mexican government. And so I'm telling and you're gonna hear me say this, and you're gonna notice in my tone and my voice today and my passion, I'm unafraid. After I went through, I'm unafraid, and I tell you how it is. My supervisors were incompetent. Incompetent for many reasons. For being afraid, for not wanting to do the right thing, because it's important to, in politics, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is being able to make the hard right decision, right? How many people have had, our elected officials have had the opportunity to not do that? They always make the easy wrong one. That's what my supervisors did that day. They did the easy decision, the wrong one. And so I get on the phone, I say, listen, what's going on? They give me the intel, my supervisor's listening to it. I said, let's get this, the deputy attaché, which is my supervisor's supervisor, and the attaché, the head of the office. And let's tell them, let's remind them, because I say, why don't we dip pouch these boxes? In other words, bring them through a diplomatic pouch, which is how we bring everything into Mexico, a secured vehicle, a helicopter, a van. That's how we usually bring things in. Oh, no, we already went through all that. They had already discussed this, they had already briefed this months before. This is February, they've been talking about this since December. But in those in the law enforcement world, if you know, if you're not present for the briefing, you can't play. And I wasn't present for the briefing. I never got a briefing. They never did. They never shared all the intel that I needed. And so I'm trying to get it all at once there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Valentine's Day. And so they do. My supervisor, it's a very small office, the ICE office in Mexico City. And I make him go knock on the door because the deputy attaché and attaché are in the meeting behind closed doors. And he goes and knocks on the door. The deputy attaché comes out. Anthony Salisbury. I don't use his name on the book because I don't think it was necessary, but I do call him what we used to call him in the office. We call him Blue 52 because he looks like Peyton Manning. 6'5", tall, Blue 52, like the ball. One of my coworkers nicknamed him Blue 52, so that's what we call him. So Blue 52 comes out. My supervisor, I'm standing here, my supervisor's standing there, and Blue 52 is standing right there. And my supervisor's telling him, listen, we're hearing all this intel. What's going on? And these are his words. And I quote them in the book, and I'll quote them until I die. He said, I'm not aware of any security issues in this country. Now, when your boss says that to you, how do you respond to that? Mexico is labeled a critical level 4, just like Afghanistan, just like Baghdad. When we go through a training at the Department of State in Washington to get assigned to Mexico, we go through a special training. Guess who the people that we're surrounded with, people going to the Middle East. Guess what they were saying to me? Well, you going to Mexico? Wow, good luck. That's the people going to the Middle East. And, he says that, turns around, closes the door. And at that point, you're ordered, and you're ordered, right? So I get on the phone with my friend from Monterey. Let's make the arrangement. I said, you drive this way. No, you come this way. We're trying to arrange where we're going to meet on Highway 57. And so we eventually said, okay, I'll meet you there at the highway. We'll call. We used to use Nextel radio phones a lot back then. And then they introduced me to Special Agent Jaime Zapata. Agent Zapata came out of the Laredo office. He was in country. He had just arrived because we had a big arms trafficking case that we were working on. And because we were so short-staffed in our office, they were allowing agents to come in on a temporary duty status for 60 days or 90 days to work their own case out of Laredo. And we would just kind of supervise them and navigate them in the country of what to do, where to go. Well, Jaime was one that just started his 60-day tour. And he said, he's going to help you go drive. So I met Agent Zapata. I had a box full of phones, clean phones. We exchanged numbers, and I said, you need to be in my apartment, where I live north of the city, because you can imagine the traffic in Mexico City. And you come to my apartment at 6:30 in the morning, and we'll take off from there. And he did. Another coworker brought him, dropped him off at my apartment, and we headed off. It was a great drive. I talk a lot about this in the book because I didn't know Special Agent Jaime Zapata. But those hours that I spent with him were a lifetime. I learned so much about him, and he shared so many personal details about his life, about his fiancée, about education, about what they wanted to do, about getting married, about having children. He reminded me of me. Here's a guy, younger than me, border agent, has that ambition, and it kind of struck me as odd in a good way, because while we were on Highway 57, he got a call from the port of entry in Laredo. He had one of his seizures. And they called him, and he answered the phone, and I remember him saying so proudly, I can't respond because I'm on assignment in Mexico. He felt good. He felt good saying that, like, I'm out here, Just like I felt when I was in El Paso. I wanted to do bigger and better things in my career. That's why I went to Ciudad Juarez on the other side of El Paso in 2008, when it was the most dangerous city in the world. The only person that knew that was my wife that's sitting right here. I didn't share that with anyone because my family would have thought I'm nuts. You're crazy, what would you be doing there? They're killing 350 people a month in that city. But our guys needed help there. And so that's what led to my permanent assignment in Mexico City. My wife didn't blink an eye. She said, let's go. I had a list, I would say, a list of 252 reasons why we left. We didn't have to leave El Paso. We had a nice home. She had a good job. I had a good job. We were okay. But we wanted to get out of there and see the world. So Jaime reminded me of that. Like, this is a guy who has ambition, wants to do that. But I did tell him, you have to brush up on Spanish. Because I'm fluent in Spanish, and that's what made a difference for me, at least in Mexico, dealing with the government of Mexico. So we had a great conversation. talked about anything and everything, and we made contact with the agents. At kilometer marker 100, we drove about 5.5, 6 hours. Did the exchange, and there's a bunch of boxes, big boxes. And we pile them up into the armored Suburban, and we drive back. Jaime had seen the subway. There's a subway and the Church's Chicken, and this is a big rest area there in Highway 57. And he said, no, I want to eat there. He was kind of taken aback, there was a subway in the Church's. I said, we had the same thing, it's just a little bit different. But we'll eat at the subway, and sure we did. And we stopped at the subway, had a great lunch outside, and then I gave him the keys for him to drive. I said, you drive. I was putting together a human trafficking conference and a lot of other things going on at that time that I got to work on that BlackBerry. Remember those BlackBerries?
Yeah.
And I was good. I could write reports on that baby. And so I called in to the office and I told my supervisor, I gave him a location, our 20 where we were at, expecting to be into Mexico City at a certain time at night. I even told Jaime when we hit the limits of Mexico City, I'll take over because it's chaotic. He had never driven an armored vehicle before. And so the open road was the best way for him to get used to the 11,000 pounds that this vehicle weighs. And the braking, the acceleration is very, very different than a normal car. And so he took off, and I'm on the phone, and I'm working, and all of a sudden, within 15 minutes later, he tells me, hey, check out these SUVs, it passes a very high rate of speed. And I look up, and sure enough, the second SUV had a long gun, a rifle sticking out. You could see the silhouette of a rifle. I said, just let them go. They were driving so fast that you could almost not see them. But before you knew it, within seconds, we were right on them. They had slowed down tremendously. And they started doing it immediately, a rolling roadblock, which, by the way, we had trained to do that at the academy. One vehicle in front, one vehicle on the side, and they force us to the side. Armed men on the side of us come out with AK-47s from their windows and are literally touching mirror to mirror. The car in the front simultaneously is slowing down. They force, it's your natural reaction to avoid a collision. And so that's what Jaime does. And I tell him, try to, go, he tries to evade them, but the Suburban just cannot go that much faster than theirs. And eventually we come to a complete stop on the shoulder of Highway 57. 8 men come out armed with AK-47s, long guns, and AR-15s, and they're pointing the guns at us, and all they're doing is shouting in Spanish, get out of the car, open the door, get out of the car, open the door. And I tell Jaime, we're not opening the doors, we're not, and I am. We both have our hands up, and I am shouting at the top of my lungs, we are Americans. We are U.S. Embassy employees. We are U.S. diplomats. This is a diplomatic vehicle. Look at the license plate. I'm shouting it over and over and over, but all they have in their eyes is evil. They're not hearing me. I'm thinking they're not hearing me, and I'm just shouting it over and over and over, but they don't care. They keep yanking at the doors, which eventually one of them opens the door. When they came to Jaime's driver's side door, it opened, wide open. When the Suburban was placed in park, it unlocked 4 doors. And so Jaime instinctively grabs the handle, which is an industrial handle on these armored vehicles, and slams the door right shut, and we hit those lock buttons. Well, while we hit those lock buttons, my armored window was lowered about 2 inches, and we didn't know. This whole time I'm still yelling at them, repeating it over and over, and before you know it, 2 of them introduced an AK-47 and a handgun by my head. I raised the window, it caught the barrels of both guns, and without notice, they opened fire into the cabin, striking Agent Zapata multiple times on the side and lethally in his left leg. I got hit once in the chest and twice in my left leg. And so did I tell you that I'm telling you that I'm here because of the grace of God. There's no other answer to that. Because people ask me, and a lot of people say, well, how is it that he died and you survived? Well, I struggled with that answer for a long time. I really did, the survivor skills, right? But then I realized it was a very simple answer. That's what God wanted. That's what God wanted. That's why I'm here to share the story with you. This is how the Suburban ended. You see the crash there. We were able to, I put the vehicle in drive, pushed Jaime's leg into the accelerator, crashed the SUV in front of us, trying to get out of the X, trying to get back on Highway 57. They shot over 100 rounds at us. And then they left. But then one of the SUVs turned around, did a U-turn and parked right in front of the Suburban. And two of them came out with AK-47s. And you see those two shots in the windshield? That's where they tried to penetrate. And they just continued to shoot. And then they stopped shooting at a certain point and just got in the SUV and left. We were there for 40 minutes. That call is the first call that I made to the U.S. Embassy, got routed to the regional security office. And then I get on the phone with a bunch of people. And the only person that I trusted at that time was the head of the vetted unit of the Mexican Federal Police that we worked with on a daily basis, the commander. I called him, he answered the phone, and he was able to dispatch a helicopter to get us there. But we were at that road a long time for 40 minutes. It's a long time, a long time. That's the picture of the diplomatic plates. There's a lot more information to share here, but I'll tell you this. They were arrested, they were caught and arrested and extradited. We had a trial in DC in 2017, and I had never had a scumbag, a killer, a murderer corroborate my story, but they actually did. You know, I testified thousands of times in federal court, and you know, as a U.S. agent, you're a credible witness, right? And I always felt, every time I told the story, I yelled at them, I told them they were Americans. And, you know, there's no one else there. But I couldn't believe in the trial that they actually testified and said, oh yeah, we heard him. Oh yeah, we heard that he was American. Oh yeah, we heard that he was a diplomat. They heard me loud and clear, and they still decided to open fire. And that's where the rules have changed with the cartels, ladies and gentlemen. These are not the same cartels. These organizations, these foreign terrorist organizations that I refer to them as, they're not the same. They've evolved and are very, very different. I'll teach a little bit more about them. These are just some pictures from the trial. They destroyed this SUV. The narrative they wanted to say, oh, they wanted a carjacking, they wanted to take it. No, they didn't. This is what they did to the Suburban. That's an actual picture of Highway 57. It's the quote-unquote safe road. It's the toll road. And these are the weapons that were recovered. Now, Mexico did an amazing job with the help of our U.S. law enforcement, FBI, ICE, DEA, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service. They did old school police work, and they went and grabbed these guys. And they grabbed them pretty quick, and they arrested them. And two of the guns that you see in this picture, AK-47s, are tied to Operation Fast and Furious. You guys have heard of that?
Yes.
Well, Operation Fast and Furious is not just in Arizona, but it was the model to be used throughout the United States by the ATF. And it's not just the ATF, other federal agencies were involved in it as well. So we had to deal with that on top of everything. I'll share something really quick that I haven't shared a lot. Oh, these are just pictures of me working, just to prove that I did work. I'm proud of my work. Seizing a lot of dope, a lot of drugs. I'll share something that I haven't shared a lot because it's ongoing right now. A year and a half ago, after the trial, and 5 pled guilty, and they got sentenced to terrible sentences from 35 years down to 12 years. 2 that didn't say a word went to trial, and they were found guilty and sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. And I'll give you some homework tonight. If you can go online and find the information on the 5 defendants that pled guilty to murder, attempted murder of an internationally protected person, and gun charges, please send it to me. Because I haven't been able to find it. But what you will find is the 2 that were found guilty and sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences, because they were really proud of that. Well, these guys then appealed their sentences. They went to the DC Circuit Court of Appeals last year, and the DC Circuit Court of Appeals granted their appeal and dismissed the murder charge. Can you imagine? I had to talk to the Zapata family, and I'm still in contact with the Zapata family, and share that information with them. So as I speak to you here, there's no one in prison for the murder of Agent Zapata. They're there for attempted murder and the other charges. And so I said, this is just incredible. We get with the AUSA, the U.S. Attorney's Office, let's take it up to the Supreme Court. We have it, right? We have the numbers, we have the conservatives. But not everyone in the Department of Justice thinks like that. And they said, we're not even going to present it. So we were crushed again. So I said, we got to do something. So I get on the phone with all the elected officials that I know. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about calls to action a little bit later. I get on the phone with congressmen, senators, anyone that I know that I've had contact with, and I tell them what's going on, and we drafted a new law. And it passed the Senate just this session. It's the Jaime Zapata and Victor Avilar Federal Officers Protection Act. And we're going to change the law because what the DC Circuit Court of Appeals said, they dismissed the murder charge because it happened extraterritorially, meaning it happened outside of the United States. Even though we have used that statute many, many times before, terrorists and you name it. So now, if anyone kills an American overseas, we're not going to be able to prosecute them under that murder statute. So we just changed the law, and we are, which is the most ironic thing in I can't understand it, is that it's probably going to be Biden that signs it. I don't care. I'm going to get it, I'm going to get justice the way I get it, one way or the other. So we'll change it. It's supposed to hit the House floor when they come back from recess in September. And let's hope that it passes. Me working. That guy that I'm walking is a corrupt Border Patrol agent. There's a lot of that going on, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of corruption on the U.S. border as well. Let's keep that in mind. So let's talk about the border. Oh my goodness, right? I was talking to the sheriff earlier. I was so disheartened because a Border Patrol agent said yesterday, told me that he thinks we've surrendered the border. And that hurt me. It caught me. What do you mean we surrendered the border? I've been to the border 4 times already on my own. I've been to McAllen, I've been to Del Rio twice, I've been to El Paso, Hudson County, New Mexico, because I wanted to go see what's going on down there. I wanted to talk to the agents myself. I wanted to talk to the sheriffs. I talked to Sheriff Martinez from Valverde County, Sheriff Cole from Kinney County, and gotten briefed by that. Because I want to be able to be a voice for that. Because you guys are the 10%ers, and I'll explain that right now. There's a great book out there called The Gift of Fear. And I've had my daughter read this book. It's a hard read because it's very real. I recommend it after you read mine to read this one. The Gift of Fear is that hunch that we have here, right? You know when you feel it. You know when this is something wrong. But sometimes because of the environment, because of society, because of whatever reason, we ignore it. And so that book talks about, it opens up by talking about a story of a young woman going into the elevator with 3 strange men. And she knows this is wrong. But she can't because she's embarrassed. For whatever reason, she doesn't step out of the elevator and say, who cares? I won't go. No, she gets in there and ends up getting gang raped by these guys. And she knew better, right? She knew it. She felt it here. So the point of the 10%er in that book, he's like, if there was an emergency right here, right now, 90% of us would do nothing. Only 10% will do something. But I know you guys are the 10%ers because you're here tonight. And when I talk about the border and I talk about politics, you guys are the 10%ers. Let's be 10%ers and bring more people in. Let's talk about illegal immigration. I've been dealing with illegal immigration for 20 years. But I've never in my life or my career have seen what's going on at the border right now. It is lawlessness. I don't know what other word to describe it as, ladies and gentlemen. It is beyond an open border. It is beyond anything imaginable that I've seen in my career. People are walking into our country undetected or detected but allowed in. Why? Why? People asking that question. Why? Why would the Biden administration do that? Well, you could go through all the theories that you want. Oh, because they have the voter base, because they're going to be Democrats, because whatever. Because we're compassionate people. Because, I hear that all the time. I'm telling you who the real compassionate people. We're the real compassionate people here.
Yes.
We're the ones that care for the destruction that these people go through to get to our country. And I'm going to show you some videos here. And I don't do it for gratuitous reasons. I tell you and I show you these pictures for a reason, because this is the reality of what's happening right now on a daily basis. Now, I just got back, and I was there in March, and it's a whole different story. When I went in March, it's when it was starting, and there's a mass confusion even amongst Border Patrol agents. El Paso's doing one thing, McAllen's doing another, Title 42 is being enforced over here, not over here. It was chaotic because the Biden administration still to this day has not sent a clear mission. They want it like that. They wanted money that way. But I just got back and it's changed dramatically. Because now we're talking about crime. This is just a video of a bus.
I'm here at the southern border here in
Bring them in. These people, 400 plus,
What you see right here is a black
not checked for COVID,
designated to transport.
not checked for criminal histories, not checked for anything. Allowed to go straight to downtown McAllen. The difference, that was 400 that I saw. I'm telling you, I saw them, I witnessed it, I talked to the agents. What's going on with these people here? I want to know the process. What are you doing? They were under that bridge that I showed you earlier. Oh, they're just getting released. Then I go into the Donna facility. Remember the Donna facility that was full and all? They weren't even going there. Straight to downtown McAllen. They get money by this Catholic Charities place that you heard of. And I've gone in. I went into this place. I talked to the 21-year-old security guard who's had COVID 3 times because of the exposure of the illegal aliens. And he let me in. The nun eventually came and kicked me out after about 5 minutes. Let me tell you, it's highly organized. These NGOs use the name, I'm a Catholic, they have nothing to do with Catholicism. These are non-God's people. These are aiders and abettors of illegal, alien smuggling is what they do. They go through these tents, where supposedly, this tent doesn't exist, by the way, anymore. Men, women, children, every adult with a child, every adult with a child. Family units, family units, family units, family units. And so what the Border Patrol, the cartels started doing for the Border Patrol is they started separating the people on the Mexican side. They're like, at first in March, they were just kind of sending everyone. And Border Patrol was like, this guy has a criminal history, this guy is a gang member. Now, Border Patrol doesn't even have to worry about that. It's just the family units and the adult single males are, you're going to see videos right now, either being smuggled or they're walking in. This is a tractor trailer being offloaded near San Antonio on I-35. This was about a couple of months old, this video. This is probably one of the oldest ones. But I just want you to see the method of transportation. I've seen them all when I was an ICE agent. I've seen them under the back of a pickup truck, nailed down by plywood, 18 in a bed like sardines. Nailed down. Cars, tractor trailers, you name it. But tell me where the kids are here. There are no kids. These are all military-age males. So I went to the border. This is just a quick video. I'm in Hudson County, next to El Paso County. I just want people to understand how wide open the border is. That's the Rio Grande River, ladies and gentlemen. In my career, I saw SUVs full of drugs and illegal aliens carrying backpacks of drugs right across that river, bringing it into our communities, that poison. And that poison now is not just marijuana, it's fentanyl, it's methamphetamine. Heroin, cocaine is making a huge comeback. A lot of seizures. I know the sheriff's going to talk about. And so I went to the New Mexico side. That's the Trump wall. What you see right here is the ladders that they use.
I'm on the New Mexico side now, on the border, the wall.
That's the makeshift ladders that these guys use to clink on the wall and climb over. But guess what? Border Patrol's not there. Why? Where are they? They're down there processing children,
These are the
changing diapers, transporting,
ladders that
being security at hospitals.
and jump over, the ones that we just witnessed right now.
I witnessed 5 illegal aliens jump right there as I was there. And I'm gonna ask them to switch to a different one because this is a video. I'm gonna see if you could switch to a different presentation that I have that I can show you. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay, great. Pardon me?
Yeah. So I go back to Del Rio, and this is what's going on lately, is that because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed in one section, the cartels are flooding the human smuggling. And that's all I want to talk to you about. There's a difference between human smuggling and human trafficking. Human smuggling is the individual comes from Uganda, pays the cartel a certain amount of money, whatever it is that they charge. Right now, if you're Mexico or Central America, $4,000, $5,000 a head. More, of course, if you're coming from the Middle East or other parts of the world. They pay that amount, they get smuggled in a tractor trailer, through the river, wade the river, however, smuggled, not walking up to the Border Patrol and turning themselves in. And then that's it. They might be placed in a stash house, which, according to Sheriff Martinez in Alberta County, they had 384 stash houses. Think about this. The Del Rio sector, Del Rio is a very small town. It's got 50,000 people. 384 stash houses. Because they stash human beings just like they would stash drugs. Because to them, a human being is like this chair. It's a commodity, right? How many can I stash in there? And so they stash them in the houses, and the stash houses are out of control, so are the chases. What do we have down there? DPS, right? An enormous amount of DPS. I was in Del Rio. You cannot turn left or right and not see a trooper. The sheriff says there are about 450 troopers, not just Texas DPS, but I talked to troopers from Ohio, Florida, Nebraska. And it's a good thing that the law enforcement is there, but I have a kind of a double-edged sword of what's going on there, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. This here is 17 aliens in this small car with one dead. This is the gas station in Del Rio. There is no bus station in Del Rio. They use this gas station as a bus station in Del Rio, Texas. People from Uganda, the Congo, Venezuela, Argentina, Cuba. You notice I haven't said Mexico or Central America, right?
Yeah.
Not one. Not one when I was from Mexico, Central America. And the ones that are coming are well-to-do. They've got money. One couple purchased a used car in Del Rio for $7,000 and drove themselves to Florida. What the heck is going on? I'm standing there like, what country are we in? We're losing our sovereignty, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Not just our U.S. sovereignty, but our Texas one as well.
Yes.
And they're happy about it. I interviewed a couple here on your far right. 90% of the women are pregnant. 6 months or more. I can't tell you 100, possibly, but over 90%. They were all pregnant. They're coming and timing their pregnancy to come and deliver here. And oh, by the way, that guy that was there, electrician, well-to-do, from Venezuela. And he tells me the story about Venezuela, because we all know Venezuela is a horrible place. He hasn't lived in Venezuela in 3 years. He's lived in Colombia. But they want to tell you and believe, make you believe that they're in Venezuela right now. No, he was well-to-do. He had a good job. I said, why didn't you come? Venezuela's been horrible for years. Why didn't you come 2 or 3 years ago? Oh no, it was the administration. I said, what are you talking about? You know, I go, what are you talking about? What administration? Well, the Biden administration and the invitation. Those are his words. This is the magnet. This is the information that is being sent. But this is what I've been saying a lot. And this is the one that for me takes the cake is national security for me is the issue, and public safety. Because in my career, I dealt with the illegal aliens, the criminal illegal aliens. And I understand, you can tell me, I know a lot of people that come here are not criminals and they want to come and have a good time and get all the free stuff, and who doesn't? Who doesn't want to come to the United States? But we're a nation of laws. And they're being ignored 100%. They're being ignored 100%. So I'm in Del Rio Airport, and these people from Uganda are about to board the same plane, some airplane from Del Rio to DFW. So I stay back. It's a very, very small airport. It's the size of this room, the airport in Del Rio. And so I said, I'm gonna sit back. And I take my little carry-on bag and I just wait until they get finished with the American Airlines counter, because I'm trying to figure out, and I take my phone out, how are they gonna board this plane? If they're illegal aliens, if they don't have an ID, and they don't have a passport, and they don't have a visa, how in the world are they gonna get on this airplane?
This is the issue that I've been talking about so much, is that we have illegal aliens coming into our country, boarding American flights, in this case American Airlines, without proper identification. How is it that American Airlines and TSA allow this to happen? So you see it, I'm here witnessing it as I have before in the valley, now in Del Rio, Texas. The family unit behind me, the illegal aliens, how are they gonna board?
Well, the video is not very good here. The TSA agent, I'm not a fan of TSA, I'm sorry. If you're a TSA fan, I'm not. If I was president, the first thing I do is privatize them right now. And I go to the TSA agent. He knows videotape. He gets this yellow envelope from these people because they walk up with this yellow envelope. By the way, this yellow envelope is very mysterious. It has money in there, it's got letters in there, it's got information. And those envelopes are coming from Costa Rica all the way down to our border. A lot of the NGOs are supporting them for these documents. And so I film it, just to see what he does, because I've never flown the way these people flow. I've flown, get on an airplane. I don't walk up to a TSA with an envelope and see if they let me on. I have my boarding pass and I have my ID ready to go, right?
Yep.
No, they don't. And you see him bundling through the paperwork, and because he knows that I'm videotaping him. So I'm wondering, you know, he's looking at the boarding pass that American Airlines just gave him. I want to see the passport, the visa, the ID. Because I remember 9/11. That's why. And this is a national security issue. I don't know who they are. Am I being judgmental? Absolutely, we're a nation of laws. Because if I try to do it in Mexico, boy, would they hold me back. You should see their immigration laws. And so I asked him. I confronted him. I said, what did they show you? Oh man, he snapped at me. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to address this issue with you. I said, hey, listen. I just want to know what ID these individuals show you to get on the same airplane that I'm going to get on. I'm going to talk to you. Who are you? I said, I'm a retired agent, but on top of that, I'm an American. And I want to know. Scan me. So I had it on my phone. Scan it. Let's scan it. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to show you my ID. He says, you're not going to get on. I said, listen, man. You're the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. You're the TSA. Have you forgotten 9/11? You're going to deny me, a retired U.S. agent, an American, a U.S. citizen, to board this airplane, but you just allowed these 3 people from Uganda, who, by the way, I'm not speculating that they're illegal. I had already questioned them. I had already interviewed them. And they told me the whole smuggling route that they took. They even offered me the smuggler and the cartel's number to get a discount to bring my family over. You know, I used to be an agent. So as you can imagine, my blood was boiling, right? This is happening, ladies and gentlemen. And now it's happening in droves. And I'm sorry that the other pictures didn't upload. I had some other ones where the gate is just wide open and they're just military-age males. You've probably seen them just walking in day and night. Now, what happened to Title 42? Title 42 is still in effect, by the way. Title 42 is because of the pandemic. The left refuses to admit that the reason we have a spike in this country for COVID cases is because of the southern border.
Yes. Yes.
So let me finish by a call to action. I love a call to action. You guys like to talk politics a little bit? The Biden administration has dismantled, administratively and systematically dismantled the Border Patrol and ICE.
Yes.
There's absolutely no enforcement. Remember they used to say, abolish ICE. Well, they've done it. They've done it quietly, and they've done it. And it's a shame because our border agents, all they want to do is do their job. I talk to them, all they want to do is enforce the law. Our immigration laws are being ignored. Our child endangerment laws are being ignored. But we must step up. So what's the call to action? What do I ask people to do?
What can we do? Yeah.
It is, there's a lot you can do. Let me tell you, it works. I know that I say this a lot, but I don't say it lightly. We must hold our elected officials accountable, except for the sheriff's here. Listen, it starts at the local level. You don't have to say, I want to concentrate on the Biden administration. We know they're lost. We know that they're corrupt. We know that they're doing what they're doing. But we have the power to elect who's going to be in our school board, who's going to be sitting at our city council meetings, who's going to be our county commissioners, because they're going to decide from there, from your neighborhood to the state level, to Austin, to the federal level. We must vet the candidates. We must get conservatives in there because they're ignoring the law. They're ignoring the Constitution of the United States. I heard this today, and I couldn't believe it. The training academy that I went to, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia, is kicking out agents that are not vaccinated. What country are we living in if we can't exercise our freedom? So if you're a Border Patrol agent, an ICE agent going to the academy right now, and you refuse to take the vaccine, you are getting kicked out. This is the control that this administration is doing. We are going to be affected in every state is becoming a border state. We're already affected in crime, let me tell you that. You will see, and just I heard about a case about an illegal alien from Cuba that decapitated his girlfriend in the middle of the street. You probably heard about that.
Yes.
I'm a big supporter of the angel moms and angel dads that have suffered a violent crime and have had their loved ones killed at the hands of an illegal alien. It happens every day, ladies and gentlemen. These are 100% preventable crimes. But we must stand up to our elected officials, and I'm talking about the state right now. You notice I'm unafraid. We need to put pressure on Abbott. I've seen a lot of talk. A lot of talk. I just got back from Del Rio. There's chain fences and a lot of police. But no one is doing anything to stop them. I'm trying to get Border Patrol, DPS, National Guard, sheriffs on the border one day. I want to get them together, and I'm going to talk more to Sheriff Skinner about this. I want to get them on the border one day and say, you're not coming in. When that rat comes in, you're not coming in. We need to send a message. We need to send a message to Biden. We need to send a message to Abbott. We need to send a message. We are the people.
Yes.
I want to get them together and say, when that rat comes over and to turn themselves in, nah. I want to see what the cartel does. I want to see what the other cartel, the Biden administration does.
Yeah.
I want to get a reaction. I want to see the ripple effect, because let me tell you the ripple effect that we're going to feel in our country. In our school systems, these kids that are coming with a lot of diseases. They've never been vaccinated for anything, forget COVID. They've never had any vaccination. When my family and I got back from Mexico and went to Virginia, when I was recuperating, I was in a wheelchair, they wouldn't allow my kids to get into the Virginia school system in Falls Church, Virginia. They needed extra shots. We're US citizens, Americans, with all our vaccines, and they wouldn't let us in the school. But if you're illegal, come on in. Yes, next to your kid. Our school systems, our healthcare systems, and of course, our criminal justice system. Thank you very much for your attention, and we're going to be taking your questions over there. I did not click through all of them, but there you see, those are the pictures. I apologize for not clicking through all of them, but you've seen these.
Yeah.
There's my contact information, you guys can contact me.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And have some question and answer, so I'll ask you two guys, please to come back up. Sheriff, if you have a few minutes, and Rick, if you have a few minutes, they come back up. We've got a couple of microphones out here roaming around, and so if you will raise your hands, oh yes, they're going up. So, one of you will stand in one of these, I guess, microphones here. So, if you'll direct your question with who you want to ask it for, then it'll kind of expedite a little bit. Then we're going to have one announcer, a couple announcements when we finish with their questions.
Probably more so you, Sheriff, but you know the federal. What's it going to take to call up the militia? You know how many veterans we've got in this state?
No, well, that's true. And we do, and of course I love them all and appreciate it because I serve with them. And I appreciate the sentiment, because what you're telling me is you come in a heartbeat if I call and ask for your help. So it's important for you to know that I know that, okay? I think, and I'm confident that the public safety apparatus is going to deal with this in spite of what we see coming out of Washington.
You're outnumbered 10 to 1.
Yeah, well, we are, right? But let me give you a great example. What we're doing with interdiction right now, the National Sheriff's Association is having us go to other jurisdictions across the United States and other sheriff's offices across this country. And they're starting interdiction units just like ours and standing them up. And they're being incredibly successful, okay? Like we are. So as that seed is planted, we nourish that grows in all these different jurisdictions. I tell you, brother, it's going to be a little tougher to deal dope in this country. I'm not going to count on the federal government to do it.
No.
Okay? Just so you know.
Thank you.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
you talk about getting kilos of fentanyl.
Yes, sir.
How much fentanyl does it take to kill a human?
3 grains of salt, the equivalent of fentanyl, will kill you dead.
I just think that's important for people to know.
Right?
That's right.
It's a massive.
Well, certainly the kilos that we got the other night were certainly enough to kill every man, woman, child, and animal in Collin County. That is for sure.
I'll add really quick about the fentanyl. I'm in touch with groups that have lost their children to, and this is the big difference, that they don't call them overdoses, they're poisonings. That's what they are. These are poisonings and frankly murders by the cartel, and it's really coming in the form of counterfeit pills. The cartels have pill mills in Mexico, and you've heard of the M30, the blue one, and so many others. The child thinks, or the 16-year-old or 19-year-old college student, it thinks it's Adderall. It might think it's an Oxycontin that they're buying, but it's not. It's laced with fentanyl, and of course the cartel doesn't equally lace each pill. And so a couple of friends take one dies, one doesn't. And we have, this past year, over 80,000 of those deaths. Since in the last 7 years, we have over 800,000 poisonings. Think about that number. That's more than COVID, that's more than wars, that's more than all that. And it's because of that poison that the cartels continue to bring across our border.
Sheriff, I have a question. You said about the people that you apprehend, and they're not U.S. citizens, obviously. So I'm just curious, do we get to keep them here and prosecute them, or we just ship them back over the borders and come back over the next day?
So that's a great question. So let me tell you, it's all about capacity, right? You know that the Collin County Commissioners recently authorized the CARES Act funds for the jail expansion because we're out of room. I mean, I'm stuffed to the brim, okay? Any night, I can take you out tonight with me, and we go to the truck stop, and when one of the buses pull in, you get on the bus, because my interdictors, we check all buses, trains, planes, all those things. Walk on the bus, 3/4 of the bus will be filled full of people from south of the border, okay? Half of them will have a piece of paper in their hand where they were processed and released, but it doesn't even have an address where they're going, right? To contact them to come back for an immigration hearing. And then the other half don't have anything at all. I call ICE all night long. Nobody's coming out.
Sheriff, that is what I just learned is what they call an NTR. And I never in my life or my career had heard, I just heard this in Del Rio. We're giving them NTRs. Now there's an NTA. It's the notice to appear. It's an official document by the Border Patrol that you are gonna get an asylum. I didn't even talk about that word because it doesn't exist, ladies and gentlemen. No one is seeking asylum down at the border. But so they started issuing them NTRs, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck is an NTR? I've never heard of that. It's a notice to report. So like, just like the sheriff said, we get this piece of paper that says you're going to Portland, and whenever you get to Portland, Indiana, Chicago, wherever it is that you're going, you're going to report to the nearest ICE office. Right. It doesn't exist. This is what the Biden administration has invented.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a great point. That's exactly what's going on. So to answer your question, I've got my deputies out there with a bus full of people, right? That should have been processed and sent back to Mexico. And instead, they're here in Collin County at a truck stop fixing to go points wherever north.
I'm talking about the people you bust with these drug deals.
Oh, they go to jail.
Okay, you don't deport them?
No, man, they go to jail.
Okay.
This is Collin County, they go to jail.
Yeah, Sheriff Skinner, I'm not sure if this is true or not. However, I have heard that there's a big sex trafficking, child trafficking going on at the food court in Stonebriar Mall. And a bunch of us want to get signs, want to go over there and start walking the mall and getting rid of these predators. I don't know if that is a true statement or not, so before I head over to the mall, I gotta make sure it's
She'll do it.
You know what? I don't know the answer to your question, but I know that tomorrow morning I'm gonna call the chief. And I'm gonna express to him your concerns.
That's what we're hearing.
Okay?
We're hearing this, it's in our local mall. And if it's there, then we wanna do something.
But listen, human trafficking, child trafficking, crimes against children. Oh my God, folks, listen, it's so real, right? I mean, Terry referred to, there was an incident where one of my deputies stopped a car with 2 guys from Mexico, they had in the vehicle a young Hispanic girl. When the deputies didn't look right, they started to talk to her. She didn't know their name. They didn't know her name. And we got it all sorted out. She had run away. She was 13. She'd run away a week before down in San Antonio. And here she is in the back of the car, headed towards Colorado. It's just one example. There's other cases where we rescue children. Human trafficking is for real, and it's horrific. We've arrested now, Chief, I don't know the numbers. It's north of 160, isn't it? We've arrested about 160 people for human trafficking involved in the online trafficking of children and showing up in order to have sex with who they think is a 13-year-old girl. Instead, it's one of my big ugly deputies. So we're very aggressive with that because, listen, I understand and know from my experiences when I was in private practice as an attorney, that when these young girls are raped and sexually molested for the rest of their life, they will suffer from this. And statistics tell us that one of those arrests, we can save 33 kids. Man, it's all worth it to you.
Yes.
Okay?
And I'll add a little bit to that. I know a little bit about human trafficking. That was my subject matter expertise, actually. And I rescued countless of women and children from Mexico being brought over to Houston, Atlanta, New York, Miami, in these horrific conditions. And I'll just reiterate what the sheriff has said. It is real and it exists. Child trafficking exists. I tell you because I've seen it. And I can tell you many instances. And I put one in the book, and it's probably one of the most graphic ones. But I had to put it in there because people still do not believe that it happens. And I said, I'm going to put this example of a real case that I saw from Mexico, a human trafficking organization from Mexico taking victims to New York and exploiting them. You see, this victim is seeing 30 johns a night, and they keep on giving them money over and over and over. The cocaine, he has to sell the cocaine, gets rid of the cocaine, well, he has to go get another kilo of cocaine and make profit, right? The victims keep on giving money over and over until they die or are useless to them.
Okay, we have time for one more question back here. I think this young lady has hers, and then we'll have our announcements.
Thank you. I have a question for Victor. One of the things that's not being talked about that much is the Taliban, and that they're on the rise. And with the border being so open, I mean, we're putting ourselves at risk for multiple terrorist attacks in this country. And do you have any information on that? Because that's
absolutely great question, and thank you for bringing it up. Because I did fail to mention what Homeland Security and ICE would refer to them as SIAs, Special Interest Aliens, and they come from special interest countries. They're countries that have been identified that have a linkage to terrorism. And there are individuals that come from Bangladesh, Somalia, Yemen, and we've caught some. They've been interdicted. I think back in March, there was 2 Yemenis on the no-fly list and on the terror watch list. Now, to be able to get on these lists is very difficult. And so for these individuals to be interdicted, this was interdicted near California, but we also had 11 Iranians arrested in Arizona. And I tell you because I interviewed, and this is 10 years ago, in detention facilities in Mexico, all these individuals. I was able to gain access and go in there and interview them, and I could get nothing from these individuals. Once in a while, one would say, I'm going to New York. And these are not individuals that are coming here to work. They're not coming here to see their family. They're coming here to in most instances, reunite with communities they already have established in Mexico, because they know that being in Mexico is as good as being in the U.S. With the open border policy right now, guess what? They're walking in. They're walking in. There's absolutely no vetting of any individual. So now you have this person that's going to come here, possibly in a cell, and I think the sheriff and I, we're not fear mongers, but we live in the reality that these individuals are present in our country. And absolutely, that is a national security threat that we face at the border. Absolutely, yes. It does, and these people are coming.
But it's important for you to know. So look at the dichotomy. The border's wide open. As Victor says, they can come in the country. But at the same time, you need to know and understand, without me getting into the details, that HSI and the FBI here in North Texas are very active. And this is an issue that everyone thinks about every single day. And there's a lot of effort put towards that end. So I don't want you to imagine for a second that it's an issue that's ignored. Okay?
Thank you both so much. This is. Thank you both so much for coming and speaking to us tonight. We just have a couple of announcements. Mark Murphy, the chairman of the Collin County GOP, is going to tell us about some exciting events coming up.
Well, I'll be very brief because you didn't come here to see me. Thank you, Agent Avilar, for being here, and thank you to these clubs for doing this. Collin County has been doing this a while. I had the honor and privilege of serving as a county commissioner back in 2014 for about a year. And at that time, you might remember the Obama administration was shipping illegal alien children all over the nation. And I authored and we passed a resolution in Collin County that said we would not take these illegal immigrant children in Collin County, and we didn't take any. We were vilified in the media. People in my church criticized me. They criticized my wife, but it didn't matter. We didn't need those kids. So we've got a great team here in Collin County with our Sheriff's Department and our Commissioner's Court. I'm here tonight to talk to you about what I'm doing now. I'm the chairman of the Collin County Republican Party. Did any of you guys go to our Lincoln Day dinner recently? All right. Did you have a good time?
Yes.
Great. This was the last 3 Lincoln Days that we've held have been the biggest fundraisers that we've had in Collin County in the history of the county. I say that to brag a little, but it's necessary. Every dime we spend as your Collin County Republican Party, we have to earn. The sheriff is a huge supporter. We thank him for that. There's others in this audience that are huge supporters. But it was so weird this year because Lincoln Day is normally in February. That didn't work. We had to move it to, what month is it? What day is it? We had to move it to the summer. So we didn't know what would happen. We still had over 500 people at Lincoln Day. It was the 3rd highest money earner that we've had in the last, or ever. So it was very successful. So thanks to everyone that comes and supports the Collin County Republican Party. We have another fundraising event coming up on September 10th. It's at the Heritage Ranch Golf Club at the Fairview. It's our 2nd annual Patriot Day Patriot Golf Tournament. Proceeds will go to a nonprofit that works with Judge Roach here in Collin County. Judge Roach has a veterans court that's regional. He works with veterans all over the North Texas region that come back. They have challenges reintegrating into civilian life, and sometimes they get in trouble. And rather than just toss them into jail, they go to the Judge Roach's court. They get special help, and their feet are held to the fire. There's no leniency here. But these young men and women have problems. The court does everything it can to help them, get them the things they need. So the proceeds from this golf tournament, a portion of those proceeds will go to the nonprofit to help them. So if you're a golfer, we've got a table out here with information. If you know a golfer, it's on September 10th. It'll be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. My email is chairman@collincountygop.com. That's chairman@collincountygop.com. I'm sorry, .com. Messing it up, .org. Chairman@collincountygop.org. Or you can call my personal cell phone, which is 214-707-8899. We've got to keep Collin County red. Liberty lives here. Liberty lives in Collin County. We've got to keep that way.
We are adjourned.